Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us for Thursday's news. I'm Meredith Kusa. In this edition, ruling party boasts of its achievements, UN and PNG sign development plan, and lands minister not backing down. Despite criticisms against the management of the country under his leadership, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill confidently maintained that his ruling PNC party has transformed PNG over the last 5 years. The Prime Minister was speaking at the National Research Institute today in the last of the open forums for registered political parties to market their policies going into the 2017 national elections.
Peter O'Neill, accompanied by key ministers of the PNC party, joined the forum at NRI today. Before giving a brief of each of his party policies, the PNC leader boasted that the ruling party over the 5 years has delivered all its promise when forming the government in 2012.
We have worked very hard in ensuring that we contribute and develop the nation as we promised in 2012. As per our mandate and as per the Alataw Accord that we developed in 2012. The Alataw Accord is a very interesting accord because for the first time in the history of our nation, a government that is in formation was able to set core policies that we promised the nation.
Tuition fee-free education and free health care are the two policies the ruling PNC party stood proud of its achievements in the country. For free education, O'Neill said over 3.5 billion kina has been invested over the last 5 years, and that's apart from the normal funding that goes to education annually. However, a concern was raised at the forum, pointing out that although that much was invested in free education, it only boosted access to education. The quality remains a challenge. It was suggested to the Prime Minister that if his party returns after the 2017 election, it would be best to reform the TFF policy so that more resources are available in schools to boost the quality of learning.
These programs are there. When you look at the 10 million kina that we give to the schools, to the districts, most of it is now, as per our financial guidelines, you have to spend on health and education. So it's entirely up to the leadership of these districts. But quality, as you say, particularly for our teachers. Now, when you look at globally, some of the teachers who are teaching at primary schools and, of course, secondary schools, you can see that most of them now have degrees who are not teaching there. We don't necessarily have to have teachers who are, in some elementary schools now we have grade 12, grade 10, but who are not being taught properly how to teach young kids.
The Prime Minister further said his government has come into reign at a time when population growth is at its peak in PNG, making it hard to keep up with service delivery, but is confident his government has done well. Glenda Popo, TVWan News.
Meantime, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said PNC over the coming days will decide which political parties they will be partnering with going into the 2017 national elections. He said this when asked if PNC is concerned about the statement by Treasurer Patrick Pruich blaming the O'Neill-led government for mismanaging the country's economy.
Treasurer Pruich is the leader of the National Alliance, which is the second largest coalition party in the PNC-led government. During his party's convention last week in Port Moresby, the Treasurer revealed that the country's economy is going off the cliff with some of the decisions by the O'Neill-led government. While critics saw it as a confirmation to some of their accusations against the government, many, including politicians, criticized Pruich, describing his statement as a political one, having 2 weeks remaining before the issue of writs, saying it's a little too late.
Papua New Guineans will decide who is telling the lie, who is telling the truth, who destroyed the economy. Now Papua New Guinea sila no sum one now, all masawe. So 5 years mipla tok na all man thing mipla long. All man thing mipla giaman because Prime Minister says sanam na toko se mipla giaman. now I'm all close to Poroman blame or Sirip Kagela one bed or Kirap na or Sutim Toki go come. So time or Sutim Toki go come, Papua New Guinea are the best people to decide.
When asked today, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said PNC is confident going into the elections and will decide which parties they will partner. O'Neill joked that despite NA being the second largest coalition partner, its numbers are no match to his PNC MPs.
Largest party with less than 10 members. So you can speak for yourself, but certainly we will be making some decisions over the next few days about who we partner to the elections and how we. But the comments made by the Treasurer is regrettable in the sense that he is the one who is responsible for the economy, and whether that does well for him in the elections or not, we will see.
Meantime, the PM said they will decide in the coming days on what action will be taken against the Treasurer. Glenda Popo, TVWan News.
The government of Papua New Guinea and the United Nations signed the UN Development Assistance Framework 2018 to 2022 in Port Moresby today. The framework now aligns the PNG government's next 5-year plan with that of the United Nations in addressing issues covered under the Sustainable Development Goals. Minister for National Planning and Implementation Charles Abel signed on behalf of the PNG government alongside UN resident coordinator Roy Trivedi.
Representatives of various government agencies were present to witness the signing, signifying PNG's commitment to the framework and in achieving goals of the SDG and Vision 2050. Minister Abel said partnering with the UN has helped the government respond to development agendas in areas including social justice, gender equality and climate change.
Papua New Guinea is such a blessed country with all the relevant features and opportunities. And we want to contribute to sustainable development locally and internationally. And I think this new framework very much takes that into account, and we appreciate that.
The UNDA framework covers 4 outcome areas that will make goals a reality: people, prosperity, planet and peace. Mr. Trivedi added a 5th principle, which was partnership.
Because none of this is possible without having better partnerships, really making a difference and so on. And we are looking as the UN system to continue to build on the partnership with government, but also extend that partnership with communities throughout Papua New Guinea, with private sector and so on, to really try and strengthen all of that.
Mr. Trivedi said improving the lives of women and girls will see an achievement of SDG goals, and it was important to reach out to bulk of this population in provinces and districts through partnerships. PNG was one of the 3 representative governments from the Pacific to adopt the SDGs in 2015. This meant that implementing the SDG goals was vital in achieving Vision 2050 and other national development priorities such as the Medium-Term Development Plan or the MTDP. Minister Abel said the MTDP remains at the forefront of development cooperation efforts, and today's signing was a progress towards formulating the new MTDP 3 for 2018 to 2022, which will fall in line with the SDGs that PNG is committed to. Salome Vincent, TVWan News.
Transparency International PNG has welcomed the government's decision to shelve the 10,000 kina nomination fee proposal. TIPNG Chairman Lawrence Stevens said they objected to this proposal as soon as it was suggested, stating it was disrespectful to the Constitution.
Decision may come as a relief to some intending candidates, but far more importantly, it is a relief to those demanding greater official respect for the laws of this country and the constitutional rights of its citizens. The call by the government to increase nomination fees in the 2017 national elections from 1,000 kina to 10,000 kina fell short of going through a second and third hearing, with Parliament having the last session on Tuesday this week before going into elections. TIPNG stressed that public office in PNG must not be available only to those with money. The right to contest for public office is enshrined in Section 50 of PNG's Constitution, and TIPNG stands firm that it should be protected so as to ensure equal participation in PNG's democracy. TIPNG Chairman Lawrence Stevens pointed out that PNG must encourage the people to consider volunteering for public office and should not penalize candidates with exorbitant nomination fees. As the election period is fast approaching, TIPNG appeals to intending candidates and political parties to consider anti-corruption and good governance as an integral part of their development policies, and for all eligible voters to vote wisely. Sophia Rousseau, TVWan News.
For years, they have fought without any political intervention to drive their agendas of better working conditions, positions, remunerations, and other benefits, among others, were so often left unresolved. This time, they are taking their agendas to the next level, joining forces with a political party. The Coalition of Workers' Union are determined to make a statement this election.
Emotional afternoon for these workers, both from the Coalition of Private Sector Unions and the Coalition of Public Sector Unions, as they expressed disappointment in unison for the many times their pleas have been ignored. On behalf of the Coalition of Workers Union, Nugmam Tirin from the PNG Communications Workers Union called for a radical change in policy towards workers' plight. Among other issues, the workers want to be recognized by the government of the day as a very important contributor to the economy.
For far too long, the concerns of all the workers in PNG have continuously been suppressed both by the government agencies, employer organizations, and the major developers in Papua New Guinea.
People's Progress Party leader, the member for Kavian Ben Micah, assured the Workers' Union that his party will ensure that issues affecting their welfare and the interest of workers are incorporated into the PPP policy and the 2017 election platform.
The People's Progress Party is announcing together with the workers a understanding to work together to address the crying needs of the suffering, exploited workers of Papua New Guinea.
Representatives of the Workers' Union later signed an agreement with the party leader. The People's Progress Party, in its 49th year, will endorse 85 candidates in this election. 3 are female candidates. The Coalition of Workers' Union has also nominated a representative to contest the NCD regional seat. Shamin Poreambe, TV1 News.
Despite directives from the NCD Command for police personnel and their families to complete all appropriate procedures before moving into the new police barracks at Bomana, they have gone ahead and moved in. This follows a strike stage on Monday in regards to the issue of accommodation, particularly for police personnel and their families residing at the condemned Gordon's Police Barracks. The planned move to the new barracks was taking longer than expected.
NCD Police Commander and the Metropolitan Superintendent Ben Turi had made it clear on Monday that due procedures had to be followed for police personnel to move into the new houses, including filling of tenancy forms and other relevant documents. TV1 News was in the area this morning and saw that the officer in charge of the Gordon's Barracks was there to hand in forms for personnel and their families who had already claimed houses to fill.
We've got a lot of families moving up here. What we're doing now is we're doing the tenancy form for all the members in here to sign, or otherwise to produce us with all the tenancy form. That's for the record of the police.
He said there is nothing more he can do about it, as police officers and their families have already moved in, adding, however, that there is a list that will be followed, as the first priority needs to be given to those who were residing at the condemned Gordon's Barracks.
We experienced a number of policemen have been moving up here without the consent of the Metsup and the NCD commander. So what we're doing here, we're getting the proper records now. Then we see and then we do a processing.
Many police personnel have also missed out on securing a house, some either out on operations in other provinces and others just late to claim houses. They showed disappointment at the turnout, but only stated that they will go through the appropriate process, which rightfully should be theirs as they were living in that condemned place for years. Imelda Wavik, TVWan News.